Halloween just happened here in the US, and there's always this like tussle with the Christian community of should we or shouldn't we celebrate Halloween? Should our kids go trick or treating? Should we have a trunk or treat? Should we have these different things around church? And today I want to have a conversation about if Christians should celebrate Halloween, and I don't know, just kind of like my take on it. So welcome back to the show where we're always talking about you, me, and Jesus. I did take a week off last week. So if you missed it last week, I took some time off because I had to get myself all caught up because I went on a vacation for a week after being on the road for like weeks. And so when I got back, I was like, I don't have it in me to film, so I did not film. I took care of myself. But we are back this week and we are talking about Halloween. So we all know that Halloween in the US is typically celebrated with costumes, trick-or-treating, and scary movies and all the things. And I have been someone who has celebrated Halloween forever, like even as a Christian. Get all dressed up, go to the parties, throw a party, go trick-or-treating as a kid, go to the Halloween parties as an adult, and all the things. And it wasn't until I started to really start developing my relationship with God that I started to realize what I was doing, right? So I don't want this to sound all deep and spiritual, but just hear me, okay? So when I think about Halloween back then, it more so felt to me as, oh, is it the time of the year where we get all dressed up in costumes? Everybody's wearing a costume. We're going to a costume party. Great. Then also being able to go from house to house to house and get candy and all this type of stuff. Then it was, okay, now I can go to all the different parties and then I can give out candy if I want. And then it became where, like I really like gummy candy. And it became where on November the 1st, I would go to the grocery store and buy the candy for like 80% off because it was no longer Halloween. So candy was heavily discounted. And, you know, over the years, I've just kind of found myself having this realization of what Halloween is spiritually, right? And you typically think of Halloween as like witches and spirits and all these different characters, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Saw, all these different like things, you know what I mean? And I feel like there's two aspects to this. Well, there's multiple aspects, but I'm gonna highlight two. One aspect is just dressing up in a costume, going to a costume party, your kids dressing up, you know, in a character, them going to a costume party, a Halloween party, the kids being able to have their trick-or-treating, getting candy and just being around all the kids. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that seems like so much fun to be able to go and do. Then the other side of Halloween is what people feel like it's okay to do and okay to be and how things are portrayed. So, you know, one of the things that I knew about Halloween was that Halloween is a time of the year where girls can wear not so modest clothes and get away with it, or you would dress up as like crazy characters, or you would act out a character. It also was the time where we knew that some people were doing more bad things, dressing up as certain characters and then like maybe kidnapping people, or people were putting bad things into candy to hurt people, you know? Then all the different like gory and like PG-13, rated R, like shock shows or horror films. There we go. Those horror films, you know what I mean? All of those being a part of Halloween, right? And when I think about Christ, being a Christian, the Bible tells us to be in the world, but not of the world, right? And I've had this tussle where I'm like, okay, well, what does that look like for Halloween standpoint? Well, I think what it means is that I can be here. Halloween is here. I don't have to be weird or anything like that. But I shouldn't be going trick-or-treating. I shouldn't be participating in Halloween parties and all that type of stuff, you know, during that time of the year. And I also think about like spiritually, like the devil has like a day, like literally a day in the US that is like Halloween. This is the time of the year when all of this is perfectly okay, where you hear about people and witches and different things gearing up for this one night of the year to do these spells and cast and voodoo and just all this stuff, you know what I mean, that people choose to do. But when I think about it as a Christian, if you identify as a Christian, then you are saying, I don't identify to that. I don't subscribe to that. I don't agree with that. I am not of that. I'm over here. So if all of that is a part of Halloween, then I'm pretty sure that means that Christians should not celebrate Halloween, right? But is there the battle of it? Sure. Because you see the costumes, you see the costume parties, the things for the kids, the trick-or-treating, you see all those things and you're like, yeah, and, and I see it. I get it. I want to go to the costume parties. I want to hang out with people. I want to do all the fun things. But I also have this understanding that while it all seems like fun, it's also going to the dark side in a sense of like either it's light or it's dark. It's not gray. And when you look at Halloween, it's like there's nothing gray about Halloween, right? Now, granted, a trunk or treat or something like a class project at a church is one thing, but because it's celebrating on this one time, it's like the technical, it's like, you know what I mean? So if you were to ask my ex-husband, my ex-husband was very black or white, right? If you were to ask my ex-husband, he would say, no, Christians should not celebrate Halloween. He would be a definitive no, right? And I'm a no too, but I'm a no that also understands why people want to partake in some aspects of it. But I feel like with the devil, if you give him a crack, he'll like break down the wall. You give him a crack, the dude is going to break down the wall. And that is one of those areas where he unfortunately can break down the wall, and we don't want to really give him that space. So if somebody was saying, Jesus, what would Jesus do for someone who's a Christian and wants to celebrate Halloween? I don't think that he would judge them. I don't think that he would crucify them. What I think he would do is I think he would just sit down and have a conversation with them and ask them lots of questions about what they feel about Halloween, dressing up, parties and all that. And I think that he would really comb through the origin of Halloween, how Halloween started, how it has evolved. And I think he would give the person a perspective, a heavenly and an earthly and a demonic perspective on Halloween. And so that way that person can make a decision based off of all the information and not just some of the information, because he cares that you make choices and not that you just do it because he wants you to, but that you do it because you want to, because you understand why it is that you're doing that. So I'm curious, where do you stand when it comes to being a Christian and Halloween? Let me know in the comments.